Welcome to my first non-special haul. Just call it Comic Book Haul #1. Now, this is just a comic book haul I decided to do. Why not? Because I picked up some really interesting things. My local comic shop was having a sale for comics that were 50 cents a piece. Now, they took some of the comics out of the boxes and put it on their special shelf because some of these were actually really rare comics. Sorry about that. Anyways, like they found like the first appearance of Bullseye from Daredevil 130. I think it was it was 131. They also found a book called Plasma, which is a super rare comic book. Yeah. I also have I also have a couple I have one first appearance, but now I picked up 21 50-cent comics. I have 22 in this bag. The other one was $2. Okay? So, the bag. Bag is removed and on the floor. Well, now it is. Okay. First up is the comic I got for $2. Metal Men Volume 2 #1. Yeah, you gotta love this. I picked this up because I like the Middleman. Yeah, Dan Jurgens, I believe, is the artist of this. I'm not really sure, but I know this is a 4-issue limited series, and this is the second volume of the series. The third volume was 7 issues. Next up is a one-shot. This is the only thing I did not read from this series, but I read everything else for this series. This is X-Men 2099 Oasis. Yeah. I was surprised to find this book. I'm not a big fan of the X-Men 2099 books, but I never read this book, and I wanted to complete the stuff for this, so I figured why not get it. Next up is issue 4. I also have issue 5 here of the miniseries. It's 4 of 6. Law, Living Assault Weapons. Yeah, a book that's a reunion of the characters from Charlton Comics. I have issue 5. I'll get to it in a minute. Next up is Challengers the Unknown. I believe this is volume 2 or 3. I'm not really sure. It looks like it's a Stephen Grant book because it has the Grant on it. So, yeah, it's a Stephen Grant book. Next up is Warlord #72. This is not a Mike Grohl issue. This is done by Dan Jurgens. Yeah, Dan Jurgens does the artwork for this issue. I'm looking forward to reading it because I like the character Warlord because I'm a fan of Mike Grohl. So I figured I'm going to try out this other stuff. Next up, this is the issue 5 I was talking about of Law, Living Assault Weapons. That's Judah Master on the cover. The first one had Nightshade. Okay. Now this one I have issue 4 somewhere in the stack, but here is issues 2 and 3 of Invaders Volume 2. This one is done not by, I don't think by Roy Thomas. I'm not sure who does this volume though, but yeah, I was kind of surprised by this. Now I picked up several issues of this series. Here's issue 4 of Invaders. This series I picked up several issues of this one. A few issues. I picked up issues 17, 22, and 23 of Dark Stars. I've been interested in getting this series, but I just haven't. It's kind of hard to find this series, but yeah, not found it. This one's the first appearance. I was actually surprised to find this book, especially in the 50-cent box. It looks in pretty okay condition for even though some of the cover looks a bit worn, but the comic itself looks like it's in pretty decent. It's in okay condition. I have the first. Here's issue 15 of Dark Stars. Yeah, that's another one I picked up. Here is issue 1 of Shade the Changing Man. This is a Steve Ditko comic. I'm a huge fan of Steve Ditko, so I figured why not pick up the first appearance of his Shade the Changing Man, Rick Shade. This is his Rick Shade, not the one Pierre Mulligan did 20 years later with the Vertigo series. Yeah, here we go, right there. This is right there, Steve Ditko. If you can see it there, but yeah, Steve Ditko comic. Next up, the second of 5 of the series Steel. This is the first volume of Steel. Now, he was later renamed to Commander Steel to tell the difference between him and the John Henry Iron Steel. So, I was kind of surprised to find this. The second issue of Steel. This is the first volume published in the 70s. Only lasted 5 issues. Yeah. Surprising. 5 issues. Here is a comic that's in pretty better condition. Issue 2 of Shade the Changing Man. A comic starring some Steve Ditko, 2 Steve Ditko characters. This is Charlton Bullseye #1. Yeah, this is a #1 comic. This came out in 1981, June 1981. So pretty much this comic is 35 years old. Yeah, it looks... I was actually surprised to find this, an issue of Charlton Bullseye. I'm a huge fan of both these 2 characters, so I figured, oh, why not pick this one up? This was a good find. All right, next up is Warlord, and #3, and I believe Dan Jurgens is also in the artwork of this one as well. That's a nice looking cover. Oh yeah, this is the guy who was one of the main villains of Convergence. I think his name is Dormos. Yeah. All right, next up is 2 more issues of the series Dark Stars. It's issues 24 and 29 of the series Dark Stars. Next is an issue of a series I did not expect to find this one, and it looks in it's an okay condition for a comic that's, well, originally the first issue was done by Jack the King Kirby. This is Cobra #5. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this comic, I had to be very careful with this. This is an old comic book. Okay, yeah, this is Cobra #5, and it was released in November to December of 1976. So, if I found issue 1, this is kind of a rare comic right here. The first issue was done by Jack the King Kirby. This is done by someone completely different. This is a different writer. Yeah, I'm not really sure how long this series lasted for, but I know that Jack Kirby did issue 1 of this series. And this is the organization Cobra. If you're familiar with the series Batman Beyond, these guys are recurring villains in the show for about 1 season. And last but not least, and I'm trying to find a publication for this one. Let's see. Okay, this is published by Millennium Productions. This is Doc Savage #2. Well, it's called, the official name of the book is, it's Doc Savage, the Man of Bronze. I'm also, one of the other type of characters I'm a huge fan of, aside from the Golden Age characters, is the Pulp Heroes. So I figured, though, why not try Doc Savage? Now, in case some of you don't know or have not been in the past few months, The Rock is going to play this guy. I'm not kidding. Yeah, The Rock was casted to be in a Doc Savage movie. And you know what the interesting thing is about the movie? It's going to be directed by Shane Black, the guy who's going to be directing also Predator, and also the guy who wrote the Lethal Weapon movies. Yeah. And this guy, love this character. Yeah, he is such an interesting character. I've read his... the only company I read his comics published by is Dynamite. Yeah, that's the only company I have ever read comics with this guy in it. Just Dynamite. Though Dynamite's only published a couple Doc Savage comics as far as I know. The first one lasted for 8 issues. The second one which was Doc Savage, if I can bring it up here. It is a Doc Savage comic. It is published by them. Let's see here. No, not that one. Here we go. The other series they published was called Doc Savage, The Spider's Web. That was the other comic they published. they haven't done anything. The only thing recent they're doing with the character, I think, actually not doing anything with the character currently. One of his most recent comics he appeared in was the series Justice Inc., which was a miniseries featuring him, the Shadow, and the guy who's actually the star of Justice Inc., the Avenger, Richard Branson. Doc Savage, his cousin, I do not know his real name. This book is written by Mark Ellis. I do not know who this guy is, but I saw this, I'm like, yeah, I gotta pick this up. Now I know that Marvel and DC have also published Doc Savage comics. I have not read them. This will be my third Doc Savage comic I've read. I've read 2 Doc Savage series, but never this. So, I just felt like doing that, this haul. Yeah, comics, I mean, with the exception of the Middleman, almost all these comics I just mentioned cost me only 50 cents a piece. Yeah, a lot of them really good finds. So I'm thinking, wow, I found the first appearance. I found the first issue of Shea the Changing Man, the one by Steve Ditko. Yes, I did. If I were to meet the guy now, I have tons of comics for him to sign. Like, I have the first issue special issue featuring the Creeper. I have the Blue Beetle trade. I have the Charlotte Bullseye book. I also have the first 2 issues of Changing Man. So I've got if I were to meet Steve Ditko, I have several books for him to sign. Mike Grawl, just a Warlord currently, just a Warlord, and maybe whatever issue I have of his that he wrote for Green Arrow. Okay, so that's it for this video. Stay tuned for more videos. Please be sure to thumbs up this video, subscribe to my channel, and what did you all think of the comics I picked up today? Okay, so until then, I will see you there. Bye.